Hi, so welcome to this video where I just want to share one small thought about something that happened in Ezekiel chapter 4. I like to call it the God my master plea, and like I said, it's from Ezekiel. So let's see. Let's first look at the passage. So we're looking at the passage, and as you can see, I'm in Ezekiel chapter 4, and I want us to look specifically at verses 13, 14, and 15. So if you look at this passage, you can see in verse 13, God says, "This is what the people of Israel are going to do among the pagan nations where I will drive them. They will eat foods that are strictly taboo to a holy God." And this is at the end of a long list of instructions that God has given the Israelites. So then immediately you can see Ezekiel saying, God, my master, I've never contaminated myself with food like that. Since my youth, I've never eaten anything forbidden by law. Nothing found dead or violated by wild animals. I've never taken a single bite of forbidden food. And then immediately God says, all right, I'll let you bake your bread over cow dung instead of human dung. I mean, if you look at the passage, you'll understand God gave a whole list of instructions. He asked him to be on his side. He asked him to be an example, an object lesson to the people of Israel of how disobedient they are. So we've looked at the Bible passage. Now let's look at some of the context, right? When is this happening really? This is happening when Israel has been exiled. They've been exiled. That's when Ezekiel is receiving the words from God, right? And at this time, you can see that God is really angry with Israel. They've disobeyed. They've gone astray. They've not kept His commandments. They have not done everything that they promised that they would do. So then he wants Ezekiel to be a prophet to the nation. He wants Ezekiel to go and speak to them and tell them, take his message, take his heart to the people of Israel. Now at this time, so he's been telling Ezekiel a lot of things as part of this word that he wants to reach Israel. And he's been saying a lot of things. There's this scroll, there's a lot of lamentations on it. Eat up the scroll. The scroll was apparently sweet. Then he says, go to the valley, go to this place, go stand here, go stand there, go to those people, speak to them, they won't listen to you. A lot of things. And Ezekiel's been following all of that. Okay. Even when Ezekiel, I think there was one point in chapter 3, I'm not sure, where the Bible records how I think Ezekiel's frustrated. Ezekiel's not happy about it. But he still does what God is asking him to do, even if he doesn't want to do it, he's not happy. But yeah, so that's some of the context of where actually into the Bible this particular chapter 4 of Ezekiel is sitting, right? Now the thought I want to say, this whole, oh God, my master plea that Ezekiel made, is basically God in chapter 3 of Ezekiel gives a long list of instructions to Ezekiel. He wants to make Ezekiel an object lesson, right? So he says, go lie on your side, go lie for so many days as a mark of the number of years that Israel has gone astray. Then turn over, then take food. Because you should not get up, take food and bake it off in an oven and all of that. So when he has said all of that, Ezekiel had only issue with one thing. God had asked him to, cook all the flour. I think 85, 89 kilos of flour. I think I calculated from pounds to flour or whatever. So he wants him to cook it on an oven with human dung. And Ezekiel says, no, I cannot do that. How can I do that? I've never done anything wrong. Now, the instant he says that, God says, sure, fine. You don't want to use human dung? Okay, you use cow dung. I mean, think about it. This is the sovereign God who knows everything. He knows, let's see, God is sovereign, right? And God knows everything. But why would he ask Ezekiel to do something that Ezekiel's not going to do. God would have already known that. Now, I think the why, I don't want to focus on the why right now, because that's not what this video is about. What I want to look at is how God actually changed his instruction like this because of what Ezekiel said. Think about it. Basically, what happened in Ezekiel 4, 13, 14, 15 is Ezekiel said no, and God said, okay. Let that sink in. Ezekiel said no, and God said, okay. If you want to boil it down to one sentence, that's how I'm looking at it. I know some theologians can come at me and say, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. But that's different. The point of the matter is, a human said no, and God said, okay. And that's amazing. That's amazing. We are taught to submit authority. We are taught so many things, right? And this just kind of is stunning if you think about it, really. I also want to look at how, I also want to mention how I think God said okay, because Ezekiel was not saying no out of a need to disobey God, but he had an ingrained desire to hold on to certain beliefs, right? So this is who he has been since childhood, and God is saying, okay. Ezekiel saying, I have never eaten unclean food. I have never broken those commands. And God's like, okay, fine. I don't want to, break you, man. I know I'm making you do a lot of stuff, but I don't want to break you. Fine. Don't break the laws. You can use cow dung instead of human dung. See, God didn't take away the whole instruction that I think that's a key point as well. He didn't take away the whole instruction. He didn't say, oh, you have a problem with this, fine, then don't do any of this. I will give my object lesson to Israel some other way. No, he said, oh, you have a problem with human dung, fine, use cow dung, no problem. But you still get to lie on your left side for so many days and your right side for so many days. You have to eat so much, bake so much of flour. You have to eat all of that. So the takeaways I want to come to. Firstly, the most important that really struck me is how we need to be gracious instead of trying to be a hardliner. It's so easy in today's world. We get into a culture, society, we say process, we need to be driven. There are lines, don't cross lines, boundaries, this, that, teach your children boundaries, draw these lines, make sure other people know these boundaries, balance, all of that. But I think we need a balance of those things, really. We need to have the discretion to be able to be gracious when we need to be gracious and enforce the lines when we need to enforce the lines, right? Like God did. Then we see, then we see the heart of God, and his heart is a heart that looks at our hearts. He sees our hearts and not just the actions or the words, right? He doesn't look at us and say, oh, you did that, that's terrible. No, he says, I look at the heart. It's a constant theme throughout, right? In Samuel, man looks on the outside, God looks on the inside. Jesus came and said, if you, in your heart, if you are angry with your brother, then that is like an act of murder, right? So what's in the heart is more important or equally important as what's in the action, because you can be like holding your thing and be sitting there, but inside you could be filled with so much of negative thoughts and emotions, and God says, come on, that's not okay. Just because you do everything he says doesn't mean that you are in the right place in your heart. And next, the final takeaway that I want to focus on is, the first two were about if I were to look at somebody under my authority, right? So, for example, if I was a parent and I have a child and I say, okay, I will be gracious because I'm looking at your heart. I'm not going to draw a very hard line this time. When I look at the heart of the child, is the child really actually committing something wrong out of a sense of wrongdoing, or is the child actually just trying to reinforce their lifelong held beliefs and belief systems? So that's one. Another could be a I don't know, a boss employee situation, and we could also have friends, right? So all of that, we want to look at the heart behind why friends do the things they do, friends, family, whoever, why people do the things they do instead of just looking at the action. Now, the thing is, what if you are on the other side? What if you are under authority? If you're under authority, then what will need to happen is the third takeaway I want to leave us with today. It's okay to hold on to beliefs, right? We have beliefs, and it's okay to hold on to them when authorities tell us to do stuff. Now, see, don't quote that as a hard and fast rule. Like I said, we need a little bit of balance. So it's not like, oh, I believe that, for example, Coke is wrong, and if they serve Coke at my workplace, I am going to quit my work because I stand up for my beliefs. No, that's not. Ezekiel did not quit the job God asked him to do. He said, God, my master. No. If you can make that kind of a plea, that's fine. He didn't go fight God. He didn't go and tell God, God, you're nuts. What are you even, thinking of? That's not what he said. He said, God, my master. No. He reaffirmed that God is his master. He reaffirmed that, yeah, I am your servant.